I'd like to welcome back our board members and officially welcome our new superintendent, Ralph Carrero. We look forward to working with you. I'm sorry, go ahead. We look forward to working with you collaboratively and doing what is best for the students in the district. So welcome. Maria, would you please take attendance?
Dr. Doris Calaf,
Present.
Edgar de Leon,
Present.
Arlene Garcia, Juana Matias,
Present.
Maria Muller, Mayor Brian De Peña, Chair Patricia Mariano.
Oh, present. The mayor distracted me. I can blame him.
Apologize.
Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
Under
one
God,
nation,
indivisible,
under God,
with the liberty and justice for all.
liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing.
Thank you. For those of us that might have forgotten, today is a very special day in the history books of this country. And I'm referring to the tragedies of 9/11. So please join me in reflecting on that day. Today's the anniversary. I thought it is important to remember those who lost their lives on that tragic day. Dear loving Father, we pause to remember the great losses and the courageous acts of September 11th. We lift up those who are still affected, families of the victims, police officers, firemen, first responders, and all who were involved. We pray you desire to redeem your creation. We trust that beauty will continue to come from the ashes of those dark days. Surround us with your mighty angels of protection. Give us compassion for one another in all of life's circumstances, and instill in us the courage to answer your call. Amen.
Please be seated. This evening, there are no items for executive session. We will now move on to public participation. The board welcomes public comment at this time. We will call people in the order they signed up. As you begin, please state your name and address for the record. Each person is permitted to speak for no more than 2 minutes. A bell will ring when you have 30 seconds remaining, and again at the end of the 2 minutes. I ask that you please respect this time limit. Profanity will not be tolerated. If used, we will turn off the microphone and the person will be asked to leave the meeting. I'd like to remind everyone that during public comment, the board is in listening mode, and as such, board members do not respond to comments. Written public comment may be emailed to lae.lawrence.k12.ma.us no later than 2 o'clock the afternoon of our meeting. And I'd like to call up Mr. Marley, please.
Omayun Mali, 53 Chester Street. Good evening, honorable members, Lawrence Public School, with the impeccable leadership by Honorable Ralph Guerrero, moving forward. Since his arrival, every day has been positive changes for Lawrence Public Education. Lawrence teachers, welcome back. We, the Laurentian, declare the first day of the school, the day of the teachers' appreciation, and appreciate all the employees of the Lawrence Public School. Lawrence teachers, you are number one. We are proud to support your union. We demand the best compensation for our teachers, our paraprofessional employees, and cafeteria workers. In this great nation, when the number one responsibility of every citizen is support teachers' union, the teachers who inspire the whole world, the teachers who the true architect of best future for our children. We, the Laurentian, are proud to be the best example of support of teachers union in the nation. Lawrence always strong. Lawrence always unite. Lawrence teachers, thank you for gift of best education for children of the Lawrence. The great Nelson Mandela said, education indeed the most powerful weapon to change the world. This change is only possible if we support our teachers union. Lawrence teachers, thank you for excellent job. We are united to support your union. Welcome back to triumphant new year.
Thank you, Mr. Molly. That concludes our public participation for this evening. Under the chair's report, I have 3 or 4 very important items to present to the board. The first one we're going to speak about is the superintendent evaluation. One of the most important tasks this board will take on is the evaluation of our superintendent. Included in your packet this evening is information from DESE. It looks like this, outlining the process. Superintendent Carrero has chosen the 12-month evaluation. During this time, the board will receive periodic training on the process. The process of the superintendent's evaluation includes a self-assessment, goal setting, implementation of the plan, a mid-cycle review, and a summative evaluation. First, the board needs to determine the length of the evaluation cycle, typically either 9 or 12 months. LPS, with many other districts, typically follow a 12-month process where the process begins and ends each fall. The superintendent and I discussed the process and the potential cycle, and he recommends the board approve a 12-month cycle for his evaluation. Superintendent Carrera will complete a self-assessment and then present his goals to the board as part of the superintendent's annual plan to the LAE this fall. The LAE will vote to adopt the district improvement goals proposed by the superintendent. In the spring, the superintendent will present a mid-year review as a check-in on progress toward his goals. The board is welcome to ask questions and offer feedback at that time. There is no vote taken then. Next fall, each board member will fill out a summative evaluation, which will be compiled into a single evaluation document that is voted on by the board and shared with the superintendent. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the Superintendent Carrero's 12-month evaluation for the 24-25 school year. May I have a motion?
So
Thank you, Arlene. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Maria. Any discussion, further discussion? All right, hearing none, Maria, please call the roll.
Dolores Calaf,
Yes.
Edgar de Leon,
Yes.
Arlene Garcia, Juana Matias,
Yes.
Maria Muller,
Yes.
Mayor Brian de Peña,
Yes.
Chair Patricia Mariano.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. Next on my chair's notes is the board subcommittees. Tonight, I would like to announce the LAE Board subcommittees and thank everyone for willingly agreeing to serve on these committees. There are 3 subcommittees of this board this school year. The Policy Subcommittee, which will be handled by Maria Moeller, Edgar De Leon, and Pat Mariano. The Budget Subcommittee, Juana Mateus and Arlene Garcia. Curriculum and Instruction, Dolores Calaf, Juana Matias, and Pat Mariano. The work of each subcommittee will be very important, and to that end, subcommittee reports will become a standing agenda item each month. Are there any questions about the subcommittees of the board?
If I may add, Madam Chair, regarding the Policy Subcommittee.
Yes.
So the Policy Subcommittee will be instructed and guided through the work of the Mass Association of School Committees.
Absolutely.
And we have contacted them, and they are preparing a schedule. That committee will meet either in person or through Zoom, and the practice is to look at our current policies that date back several years. And the Mass Association will make sure that through the subcommittee, they not only update the policies, but bring any policies forward to date, I should say, that are relevant for today's running of the schools. So through that work, it will be, any time that they make updates, there will be votes required to pass policies, and then they will put that book together, and they will constantly update it for us with any federal legislation or any new state legislations that might be passed.
Thank you. Thank you, Superintendent. Any other questions about the subcommittees?
Do we have an idea, Madam Chair, when we're going to start creating a schedule for meetings for those subcommittees, or are they going to be ad hoc by needed?
I would anticipate that the subcommittees get together and decide what date they would meet, probably monthly, and be prepared to give a report to the board at every meeting. But I plan on calling each one of the subcommittees and planning out the logistics of that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, and thank you again to the board for volunteering. I really appreciate that. All right, the next item that's an informational item is our current monthly agendas. Another procedural item I would like to discuss is the board's input in crafting our monthly agenda. Many of you expressed this past year that you wanted to be included in this process. So this is the process we will follow to be as inclusive as possible. 2 weeks prior to our meeting, Maria Campuzano will ask all of you if you want an agenda item discussed at the next meeting. 1 week prior to our meeting, you will have a standing 15-minute conversation with the superintendent concerning your item or anything else. Maria Cruz has set out notices on August 20th and September 9th, asking for a convenient time that works for you. Please complete these forms as the procedure will begin for our October meeting. Are there any questions about the procedure that will follow to craft our monthly agendas?
Madam Chair, my question would be, let's say that, board members, one, I want to thank you for doing this and being responsive to this request. let's say, in those 2 weeks before the meeting is happening, the different board members do have things that want to be added to the agenda. We, of course, are letting the superintendent share the things that he wants to report out on us. How are final decisions made on what the actual agenda will be that we will discuss on day of? Like, what does that look like procedurally?
I'm sorry, I'm not clear with what she said. Could you repeat that, Warner? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So if board members are making recommendations on the agenda, let's say we're putting the agenda together, I recommend X, board member Edgar recommends C. How do we know what's being included? Who makes the decision of what's being included in that agenda? Is that going to be a vote by the entire committee, or is that a decision you're making? Just want some more clarity on that.
Well, I think for our first go-around, at this moment, you'll have a discussion with the superintendent, and we'll see how this all plays out. It's a procedure that could be tweaked at a later date if you're not comfortable with it. We're just responding to what was asked of us last year. So we put this procedure together as an initial start. Should we not be comfortable in the way it's working, we can change it. Does that answer your question, Warner?
Yeah, that answers it. Seems like it can evolve depending on how things go. Thank you.
Okay. That's the conclusion of my report for this month. If you have any questions at a later date, please feel free to call. We're going to continue with the agenda with the approval of minutes. We have minutes from June 12th, 2024. Are there any omissions or corrections?
It says here June 27.
I'm sorry, Dolores?
It says June 27, not 24.
June 12th,
No.
the first one.
Oh, no, you said June 24.
Did I? I'm sorry.
So that's what I was highlighting.
Okay, let's start again. The minutes of June 12th. Any omissions or corrections? Could I have a motion to approve the June 12th, 2024 meeting minutes? Motion. The mayor, thank you. Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Maria, please call the roll.
Dr. Dolores Calaf,
Yes.
Edgar de Leon,
Yes.
Arlene Garcia,
Yes.
Juana Matias,
Yes.
Maria Muller,
Yes.
Mayor Brian de Peña,
Yes.
Chair Patricia Mariano.
Yes. The next set of minutes are the minutes of June 20th, 2024. Any omissions or corrections? Could I have a motion to approve? Thank you, Mayor. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Arlene. Any discussion? Hearing none. Maria, please call the roll.
Dr. Dolores Calaf,
Abstain because I was absent.
Edgar de Leon,
Yes.
Arlene Garcia,
Yes.
Juana Matias,
Yes.
Maria Muller,
Yes.
Mayor Brian de Peña,
Yes.
Chair Patricia Mariano.
Yes. We have the minutes from July 8th, 2024. Any omissions or corrections?
The 27.
Oh, I'm sorry, June 27th, 2024. Any omissions or corrections? Could I have a motion to approve the June 27th, 2024 meeting minutes?
So moved.
Thank you. Second? The mayor. Any discussion? Hearing none. Maria, please call the roll.
Dr. Dolores Calaf,
Yes.
Edgar de Leon,
Yes.
Arlene Garcia,
Yes.
Juana Matias,
Yes.
Maria Muller,
Yes.
Mayor Brian De Peña,
Yes.
Chair Patricia Mariano.
Yes. The minutes of July 8th, 2024. Any omissions or corrections?
No.
Okay, could I have a motion to approve the July 8th, 2024 minutes?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Maria, please call the roll.
Jojo Dolores Calaf,
Yes.
Edgar De Leon,
Yes.
Arlene Garcia,
Yes.
Juana Matias,
Yes.
Maria Muller,
Yes.
Mayor Brian De Peña,
Yes.
Chair Patricia Mariano.
Yes. We have the minutes of July 17th, 2024. Any omissions or corrections? Could I have a motion to approve the July 17th, 2024 meeting minutes?
So moved.
Who?
Maria.
Maria, second?
Second.
Thank you, Arlene. Any discussion? Hearing none, Maria, please call the roll.
Jojo Dolores Calaf,
Yes.
Edgar De Leon,
I abstain. I think I missed that one.
Arlene Garcia,
Yes.
Juana Matias,
Yes.
Maria Muller,
Yes.
Mayor Brian De Peña,
Yes.
Chair Patricia Mariano.
Yes. Motion's passed. At this time, I will turn the meeting over to Superintendent Carrero for his reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Welcome back to another school year. Our school year started several weeks ago, starting with our welcoming back of staff that we had some days to do some professional development accumulated with our Friday activities on the 23rd when I felt the impact of how large the seventh largest district is of the Commonwealth in terms of a public school. In the gymnasium, there were approximately 2,500 to 2,600 staff members. And if I can get them all to a football game, I think we won't lose a game. But we were entertained by our wonderful students from the Performing Arts Center, who in 1 week, the returning students put together and choreographed a wonderful musical, which is In the Heights, that has been recognized at the state level and the local level and winning awards. And they will be performing with schedules coming out in the fall. I was greeted kindly with Madam Chair's pom-poms. I still haven't asked her if she was a cheerleader when she was in high school, so those are in my desk. However, we had a wonderful afternoon of which I was able to see how many proud staff members we have, and I think that we were eagerly awaiting for the start of the school year. On Monday, the 26th, I was able to get around to some of the schools, and some of the administrative leadership team divided up and went to all the schools. And I continue to be pleasantly surprised by the staffing, the dedication, the partnerships, and the overall smiles of kids that just love being in our buildings. I would be remiss if I didn't say that the mayor also joined us on the Friday before opening day, that gave us a wonderful message that together anything is possible. So we're going to carry that out throughout the school year. But nonetheless, after Monday, the following week, September 3rd, we had primary elections, and you know that our schools are closed. And the first day for pre-K was Wednesday, September 4th. So we are starting our first full week of school this week. And I'm proud to report that schools have opened without any glitches. Kids are coming to school. Odanis makes sure that our buses are running on time, 100%. not 40% like a big school district 26 miles down the road. We haven't lost any children. I haven't gotten reports on how many crying brand-new preschoolers we have, but I'm sure that they're there. And we are at our best in terms of staffing within the last 4 years. I think we're only down approximately 123 vacancies, where we started at the beginning of the summer months trying to recruit approximately 450. So the team has done a tremendous job at fulfilling our classrooms, and I know that one of the things that the principals made sure that they had, even if they had vacancies, that they had a person capable and willing that understood our kids in every classroom at the beginning of the school year. So the school year is off and running, and we're very proud of what we've accomplished during the summertime, and we look for an exciting school year. One of the things that I'd like to do, Madam Chair, is often when we are in business of the public regarding schools, is always give opportunities for our administration to be recognized and talk to you about the wonderful work that they do. And if it wasn't for them, the work wouldn't get done along with our teaching and supportive staff. While we were vacationing, and that's a loose term in the summertime, I guess, we had a lot of summer programming going on. And to give you the highlights of our summer program, I'm going to ask for one of our administrators, Darissa Francisco, she's the Assistant Director of Curriculum and Instruction, to give the highlights of all the wonderful programs we had this past summer.
Hi, good evening, Darissa Francisco. So today I will be providing an overview of our summer programming, just bringing it back a little bit. But our vision for our summer programming into summer 2024 was to provide opportunities for all of our students to participate in grade level, engaging, and meaningful educational programming altogether. And our program at a glance, we served all of our students district-wide, and we had 3 different programs, which consisted of Level Up for our K through 8 and LHS Lawrence High School students, and Level Up is for our general education students. And we had our newcomer program and our extended school year program, ESY. And some of our goals per program for Level Up was to reduce learning loss and help our students retain and work towards what they've already learned for K through 8, and within the high school, credit recovery, and again, more opportunities to learn new content. Our newcomer program, we served our multilingual students or multilingual learners, and those we wanted to ensure that students that have newly entered our school system received English language development, continued English development. And then again, for our extended school year program, this served our special education students. And again, the goal was to ensure that that we prevented any regression within their learning and academics, and then also continue working on their services as required within their IEP. And our programming, our scale and locations, we had various locations, and we did face a lot of, we had to transport our kids to host schools because we had a lot of remodeling happening within many of our schools in the district. And I do want to give a huge shout out to our transportation team, which helped to get our students to the schools. We served over 2,500 students district-wide, and there you can see some of our numbers and the staffing numbers as well. And some highlights for the newcomer program. We had direct English language development, daily specials such as PE and arts. Students had access to a bilingual literacy, access to bilingual books. and within their curriculum included hands-on English. Oh, sorry, I can't read that far. I can't read that one.
Frames for
Frames for
fluency?
fluency, so sorry. I'm wearing glasses and I still can't see, so terrible. With aligned professional development for teachers. And then we also had interventionists available for their newcomer students. And with Level Up, which served our K through 8 students and high school programming, within K through 8, our district purchased standards aligned curriculum in reading, math, and writing from iReady. And this also included professional learning, professional development opportunities for our teachers during 2 days. And then the high school, students partook in credit recovery opportunities, and again, additional instruction. And for all of our students, there was a mix of academic, social, emotional support, and enrichment opportunities. And highlights from our extended school year programming, ESY, there's collaboration with Roman music therapy, use of grade band specific curriculum, visual and communication supports, and classroom materials. I also did want to mention that at a district level, these programs were facilitated by 3 different admins, and so like I helped support Level Up and the high school, and within our newcomer program, our district facilitator was Jalissa DeClet, and for our ESY program, we had Leah Salloway from our Office of Student Support Services. And so they also deserve all the credit in helping support planning along with our teachers and facilitators. And to end it all, it wasn't just all learning. We had opportunities for fun as well. And so our students were able to participate in inclusive learning opportunities. And so we had both indoor events and opportunities for outside field trips. And some of our partnerships included Animal Adventures, Reptile Show of New England, Museum of Science, the Franklin Park Zoo, and Smollett Farms. And again, other opportunities included specialist activities such as dance, art, PE, recess and lunch, and we had student-delivered literacy sessions. So our students partook in storytelling, singing, all kinds of activities that supported their learning altogether. And thank you.
Any members of the
Any
board have
questions?
questions?
Sorry.
How does it compare to last year? How many students were able to participate?
Yeah, so this year we had, I believe last summer, we had a little over 3,000 students. So this year we had less participating, and we feel like there was some things that could contribute to that. Was the fact that many of our schools or the students' home schools were closed, and so we did have to do a lot of planning and logistics around ensuring that they got transported to their host schools, and so many parents decided to just opt out. We did try to make it as smooth and swift as possible, transportation, but we did notice that we had less numbers of students participate altogether.
But it's not much difference.
Not much difference, not much
Okay.
difference. Just I would say like maybe 300 less than the previous year.
All right, just checking.
Remember that this year's planning for summer school was quite an undertaking because the facilities team undertook major revisions of many of our school buildings. And those school buildings that they were going to work on, they couldn't allow to have kids there. So they had to arrange for busing and move kids around the city. And sometimes parents didn't feel comfortable putting them on buses across the city and what have you. So they opted out.
During the summer, that's when facilities has to do their work, because, there's not kids around, but we shuffle and we make do.
I think, Chris, next year, if there's any more major works, and he has kids around, he's going to put them to work. It's worth it.
Thank
Any
you
other
so
questions
much.
for Ms. Francisco?
I have a question, but I think Juana, you might have had one first, so I don't know if you want to go.
My question was more for the superintendent, so you can go ahead, Edgar, and then I'll go after you.
All right, and first off, thank you to everyone that did the work for the summer. I know it's an enormous undertaking, especially those with the transportation piece. I didn't see the numbers, so I apologize. It might have been very quickly, but how many of our teachers and staff members actually worked during the summer?
Yeah, so if you don't mind going back to the slides, the scale of programming. So within our ESY program, we had 6 facilitators, 43 teachers, 141 paras, and 18 related services providers. And you can see there with the newcomer program, we had 1 facilitator for the program, and 10 teachers, 1 counselor, 2 specialists, and 4 paras. And then our biggest program includes Level Up, and so we had 2,052 students, 204 teachers, 27 facilitators, and 27 counselors altogether.
Awesome, thank you. Sorry, I couldn't see it.
No worries, thank you.
Were we short any teachers in demand to cover programs?
No.
Actually, Quana, before you go, I just have one more question, especially about the newcomer program, because I know it's such a sensitive population for us. I saw it in one of the slides. But what is the ultimate goal of the summer program for newcomers? And how do we, if we do, see that the work that's being done in the summer is actually working for that population?
So as part of the programming altogether, we want to ensure that the kids continue to, or if they're, continue to introduce them to English language development opportunities all throughout. And within, I guess, am I understanding your question correctly? Like if there's additional tracking to see if change, if
Yeah,
there's
no, that's
impact?
exactly why. I love the fact that as a community and as a school system, we're investing in that population, given the need. I'm just wondering then, sort of, how do we then know that our programming is actually working? And maybe the answer is during the school year, but I'm just wondering if there's any tracking in terms of what that actually, what services
Yeah.
provide and the effectiveness of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I mentioned before, the facilitator, the district facilitator for the newcomer program is Jalissa Declet. And so I'm definitely, because I would love to give you an accurate response to the tracking piece. And unfortunately, I don't have the specifics as to how they're measuring that right now, but I can certainly follow up and ensure that we get that answer to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And again, congrats on the summer.
What was that?
I said again, congrats on the summer work that you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Congrats to our teachers and all of our staff, too. Thank you.
Thank you, Doritza. If I may follow up, Madam Chair, to Mr. De Leon's question, I think that is a very important question, and that is, how do we measure the gains that students made in the summertime? So one of the strategies for English language learners, Mr. De Leon, is research has proven that if you bring them in during the summertime, all the gains that they made in learning the new language, we can sustain it so we don't have that much learning loss. But it calls to your question, how do we know that? And we will track these students so when their access scores come out in the winter, we will know if they moved up a level. But also at the beginning of the school year right now, when teachers are doing their benchmarking for the beginning of the school year, we will also be able to determine if there was any learning loss for our ESL students. And remember, the vulnerability of them is that they're going home to an environment that they're speaking their native language. So by not practicing their second language, there's the danger of the learning loss. So the strategy is to try to keep them engaged through school, and even though they're doing academics, they're also doing some enrichment also while they're at the school. But we definitely will track that, and I think that that's an important element to determine if our summer programming programs are effective. Okay?
Thank you for that clarity, and I think you're right. I think eventually it plays out during the school year, but yeah, just wanted to know. So I
Thank you, sir.
So I appreciate it.
Moving along, Madam Chair, I think there is some mention, some of the programs, and one of them was the credit recovery that I had the opportunity to participate at the end of the summer. We had an additional 54 students complete their courses that were missing and completed, and we put together a wonderful graduation for them at the Performing Arts Center. So I believe, if I'm not incorrect, those 54 students that completed in the summer add to our graduation rates. Is that correct, Victor? Okay, so to our graduates, we had another 54. But aside from the graduates, we had approximately 240 participate in credit recovery to try to keep them on par with their regular class. And that was a wonderful experience for them. In terms of, the next slide, our nutritional service program, 83,000 meals to school-aged children over the summer in all of our feeding programs. Fall sports started at Lawrence High School. Football, cross-country, boys and girls soccer, girls volleyball. And obviously, we had our first season football opening game this past Friday. And we welcomed our new coach, who is an alumni of Lawrence Public Schools. You might have remembered Emilio Colon. He was part of that Magic team back in the 90s, and you know, they usually stick together, so he was able to convince his colleagues now were former players, Mr. Concepcion, who was a receiver at Boston College, and some of the other individuals. And there's nothing more powerful through our sports programs when we have alum that resemble the community and were part of the school to talk about what made them successful. And the fact that they're members of the community, our kids in our sports program truly look up to them. So we're looking for a wonderful many years of his leadership on the football field and his team. And what a wonderful opportunity for his first year. All of you are welcome to our Thanksgiving game, which will be at Fenway Park this year. My prediction is that we will have more male parents at that game. I don't know why, but they'll be trying to get in on the field, and it'll probably be the first time that they see a football game. Something tells me there'll be a lot of cameras out by that green wall of pictures taken. So that's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, if anyone's interested in going to see the game, and we will be playing our sister team in the city, Central Catholic.
Superintendent, could I interrupt you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a possibility to acquire buses for families that would like to go?
I think Ms. Hernandez and I tried to strong-arm lightly our busing contract, and we asked them for those in-kind contributions. And you can read my mind why I asked. They said, of course we will participate in providing services to the district. So yes, I think that's a possibility,
Great.
and we'll coordinate that. Let me ask our Assistant Superintendent, Mr. Acosta, to come up to talk about district enrollment and attendance. As I mentioned earlier, Madam Chair and members of the board, you are responsible for the largest high school in the Commonwealth. And I think that's a great, tremendous honor. That means that we have a lot of our kids attending high school Welcome, Mr. Acosta.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Acosta. Thank you for having us. When it comes to enrollment, this is something that, is ongoing every day. Numbers changes every day. And I think when we meet, our biggest, I'll call it the Super Bowl of enrollment, starts in May when we start enrolling pre-K and K. And then at the end of the school year, I think it's June 24th, we start looking at middle school and elementary and middle school. I just want to thank Victor for really giving us the opportunity to use the upper school at the high school where we were able to meet our families there at the upper calf, and it was amazing. So I just want to give a shout out to our folks at FRC for really, being committed and really serving our families well. So I can see the numbers. I'm just going to put my glasses on here for 1 second. So like I said, this changes every day, and one of the things that we look at is the trends as we look at the last year's, and what the trends that we see is not much. The elementary school, what we notice is that although the totals is at 6,253 students, grade 4 tend to stay as being one of the largest with 1,001. And what we also notice is that between the elementary school and middle school, the trend is that we tend to, a lot of those students tend to maintain in the district, so they don't move out. Is it because of the, I'm pretty sure it's because of the schools that they're in, neighborhood schools. So as we continue to the high school, we notice that, the high school right now, the total enrollments at 3,800 overall. And one of the highest enrollment piece here is the grade 12, which is at 1,075 students. So the trends are still there. I think that what we try to do with the numbers that come in, I think Maria can talk to this, is that we got to make sure that as we assign students to the neighborhood schools and more students are coming in, some schools do get filled. So we got to look at other schools, neighborhood schools within the neighborhood so we can assign students there. The enrollment team has done a great job in making sure that our families are happy when it comes to those types of school changes. You want to talk?
Good evening, board. Thank you for having me. My name is Maria Ortiz, and I'm the partnership director, and I oversee the enrollment. As Mr. Acosta mentioned, right now we have a challenge in enrollment. We have maybe 5 schools already with some grades closed, and we need to have those conversations with family. Unfortunately, the child has to be assigned to the closest school due to the capacity at the grade. We have an increase right now. I think the number for new enrollment, it is 1,141, if I'm correct. There are new coming from different cities in another state. That's the total number of newcomers to the city this year. You have any question?
Question, Madam.
Dolores?
Any questions?
Superintendent Carrero, I had a question for you on some of the previous data points that you mentioned, but they have to do with enrollment as well. So you mentioned that, which I think is really impressive, we had a need for 450 teachers. You guys were able to decrease that to today only needing 123 teachers. Do we have empty classrooms without teachers right now? What does these 123 vacancies mean in our classrooms today, and what is the strategy for you and your team to ensure that we are doing everything we can to recruit high-quality teachers to fill those vacancies so that we're ensuring that, we don't have large classroom sizes, ensuring that students are getting taught what they need to, and are there things that you're considering that could be really innovative? Could we partner with the city and do down payment assistance for people to purchase a home? What incentives could we be looking at to make sure
Thank you, Ms. Matias. I think those are wonderful questions. And I think that those are strategies that we talk about at our leadership meetings. We do have our Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, who's a professional recruiter, partnering with various colleges that we have. We track how many vacancies that we have now. Although it sounds like a lot, I will tell you that all of our schools, all of our classrooms have an adult professional, and that's key. That doesn't mean that they're a teacher, but that means that they're an experienced adult professional that works in that building. Some of those individuals will be paraprofessionals that have been trained as we continue to do what we can to recruit. I know that we use the various social media websites, search engines to try to continue to recruit individuals. But I find that one of the strongest strategies that we have comes from our own network of individuals that we have in the district, of tapping into their network of friends that are interested in coming to work for the district. Unfortunately, we lost the ability to bring in non-teachers that have bachelor's degree because of the fact that this year we can't hire emergency hires and work them through to try to get them certified through the Department of Education. So I believe that has slowed the process down a little bit. But we are continuing to try every means necessary, and I'm going to be prepared in the wintertime to bring forth some strategies for the board to approve on looking to see how we can attract some new teachers. Just by informational purposes, next year we are ready to open two of our kindergarten programs to have a full dual language program. And in speaking with the team, I asked them if they knew what the challenge was going to be of trying to recruit for those types of programs. And obviously the biggest challenge is finding certified academic content, stable and knowledgeable Spanish teachers. It's tough enough for us to find paraprofessionals and bilingual teachers now. Imagine trying to put together a dual language school. So one of the things and strategies that we are talking about that we're going to address through the Department of Education is perhaps the H-1 visa program of trying to attract teachers from other countries that represent our kids to try to fill some of those positions. That's just one of the strategies that we're talking about. Obviously, we're going to try to look to see how we can recruit other teachers that are just coming out of college. And again, we're not just interested in the teachers that are coming out of the teacher prep programs. We're interested in students that are coming out with psychology degrees and let them know that there are roles for them as counselors, sociology degrees. But in order to try to attract a lot of these individuals, I think the time has come that we have to have a conversation and look for grant funding that we can attract individuals to come into the teaching field, and that we can partner with them and perhaps paying for their tuition. We have tuition reimbursement because we're a distressed school district, and after I think 5 years, teachers are eligible to apply. But after being here for 5 years, they're only eligible for, I think it's either $7,000 or $10,000. But their tuition that they owe coming out of school is somewhere around $150,000, $200,000. So putting together a program through the benefits package that if we have a teacher here, and for each year that they're teaching in Lawrence Public Schools, if we could put aside $20,000, after 5 years, that's $100,000. I think that's a very, very attractive package. So those are the type of conversations that we're starting to have preliminarily, and we want to talk to the Department of Education about ways that we can incentivize young people to come into the teaching field. But as I said, unless we raise salaries for teachers so that they can make a decent wage, you're not going to be able to sustain the amount of individuals that need to come into the teaching field unless you can make it rewarding for them. And one of the areas that I think that we can do that is help individuals that if you're asking them to come into teaching, that we can support them through tuition reimbursement. So those are a couple of the ideas, and I know that there'll be more. And I know that you're a person that is a thinker, and if you have ideas and strategies, we'd love to hear them also. I hope I was able to answer your question.
Just
No, that was great, and I appreciate the fact that you have this as a priority. And would love to kind of talk offline. I think, cost of housing has become one of the biggest burdens, right? It's like the policy issue. Are there ways for us to look at city dollars that they receive from the Department of Housing and Urban Development and leverage that as an incentive to say, you come and live and work and teach in Lawrence, we're going to help you become a homeowner, right? That helps build generational wealth. So just anything that we can be thinking about outside the box, I think it'd be great for a year from now for us to say, we continue to tackle, the need for teachers and meeting our workforce needs. I just appreciate what you're doing when it comes to that and happy to support offline in any way I can. My other question was in terms of sports. So I saw we had like soccer, football, I didn't notice track. Are there sports that we're not offering and could be offering? One of the things that I mentioned to you is, I don't ever want to see us not use our budget. Like the most disturbing thing to me would be that we end the year with not fully utilizing every dollar that we have. Of course, strategically and intentionally in a way that's leading student academic growth and enrichment. But when we think about our sports teams, could we be doing more? Who's bringing on sports that we don't have? And what is your outlook on that for the academic year? And just not just sports, but arts and other enrichment opportunities that give our students a full experience of what it is to kind of know their talent.
I didn't catch all of it, Ms. Matias, but I think the pieces that I did cover of expanding sports and enrichment opportunities, one of the unique advantages that we have through all of our schools is that teachers and the leadership teams there have the flexibility of creating enrichment opportunities for unique populations that we have. And I think that that's important, that we're able to expand and make sure that we're trying to incorporate as many opportunities for our kids and families that are interested in participating within our programs. And I think that it's important that we do that. And one of the ways that we do that, I know, is that our schools put out surveys toward the end of the year that we collect from our families and ask those type of questions. What type of enrichment programs are they looking for their kids, and sports programs? So I hope that we will continue with the budgets that we have, that we can afford and expand opportunities for all our students at all grade levels.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. I wanted to mention, Madam Chair, that 125 more kindergarten students would be 1,000. 32 more second graders would be 1,000. 14 more third graders would be 1,000.
Wow.
14 more third graders would be 1,000, right? Yep. And 32 more second graders would be 1,000. It seems as if you mentioned earlier that some of our school buildings are now closed. Okay.
That's correct.
So my question is, if we're going to move kids beyond their neighborhood area, that would then trigger busing. Is that correct?
Absolutely. That's why we try to figure out there's less than a mile, because if the family has to walk more than a mile, the school district has to offer transportation.
Thank you. Any questions regarding enrollment, Madam Chair?
Yes, I have a question. Jerry and Maria, can you share with me some of the strategies you're using for the October 1 report?
the Sims, so right now what we're trying to do is making sure that schools are tracking those students that are not showing up and starting to clean up their roster, because I think that's one of the challenges that we have, that either we don't track them, and then when it comes to Sims and it's closed, then that can come back to us and hit us with DESE. So I think communicating with schools and also with us in our department.
Could you estimate how many children we haven't made contact with?
I don't have that now, Chair, but I could definitely go back and get that for you.
Thank you.
Just one piece on the enrollment. They're coming, they're here. But one of the pieces that we look at as we monitor the enrollment is also attendance. And students are coming into schools. So at the elementary, middle school, we are at 94%, if not higher. So schools are doing what they need to do, making sure that they have welcoming environments into the schools and students are showing up. And so I'm pretty sure the high school doing the same. So not only the numbers going up, but students are coming into school. That's what we want.
Well, I know it's an arduous task to try to find these kids, especially if they've enrolled in private schools and trying to get the documentation and everything. I'm trying to think. Do you foresee the number of students that we can't find more than last year? If that makes sense.
It does. I just need to go back and look at the data from last year and see. Like I said, I'll look at those and then I'll definitely get back to you on that.
Thank you.
Not a
Thank you.
problem.
I do have to say that I didn't see too much like last year from school requesting support from the attendance officer to try to locate those students. So at least a school is doing everything to get that information from a different district or from the family. So they are working on it to try to track all those students if they are not attending school.
Thank you.
May I ask a question? I didn't hear Madam Chairwoman's first question. It was in and out of my computer. But I know that, where are we compared to the last few years in terms of enrollment? I know we had a discussion, I believe in the beginning of last year, where just general concern about the rate of which our population is growing and the rate in which we can provide services for them. And I know this is not one that you guys can solve, but do we get a sense in terms of where are we with enrollment this year in September, as opposed to where we were last year in September? And then, I see it right now. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry.
No, I see
Not
it.
much. Not much.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
What does this mean for classroom size? Do we have like a median average of how many students we have per classroom per teacher?
That's a good question, because that was going to be my follow-up. Thank you, Juan.
The
average?
The average? I believe we're somewhere around 25 in the elementary grades.
Yeah,
25?
25 to 28.
I hope we haven't reached the 30 or 32.
No, that's where we'll have to meet
Correct.
and figure out something.
So it's averaging about 25 from kindergarten through 8th grade, Mr. De Leon.
In high school?
No, not high school. High school's a little bit different.
High school looking at 28?
Average
Per class?
class size,
Class size? Yeah, 28.
28.
How do we compare to the rest of the state when it comes to those numbers?
How do we compare to the state? Is that the question?
Yeah, when it comes to average classroom size.
Well, considering the fact that we have the largest high school population in the state, I would tend to think that the trend is that we probably have a higher student-teacher ratio at the high school level than your average high school. I would tend to think that the average high schools is anywhere from 21 to 23 per teacher at the high school level. But obviously, ours with the size of our classes and the increases that we've had, it's up around the numbers that Mr. Caraballo just said, which is about 28 to 1.
Any other questions?
I did want to
Okay,
mention,
Superintendent.
Madam Chair, that in spite of the enrollment, and you've asked questions, and board members have asked questions of trying to find out how many kids are still out there. One of the unique services through grants that we received this year is we were able to bring on, Jerry, 26, 27 homeless liaisons.
27.
27, each one of them assigned to schools. So their work with the parent liaisons and the teams within the school and the partnership that they have with the nonprofits that are working with the homeless population, we're able to identify those children and provide the services to make sure that we're able to bring them to school and provide all of the services that they would need in a house.
Did this fall under the McKinney-Vento
It-
money that we got?
Yeah, we worked very close with the McKinney-Vento, but this is in regard to the HOA grant. And so we were able to be able to get 27 of those school-based specialists, and they were assigned to specific, not every school in the district.
But
not only-
I'm sorry, Jerry, I think the chairwoman is speaking about the recent $30,000 that we
Right.
received.
Oh, I'm
That
sorry.
was through the McKinney-Vento, and
Right,
that will
right.
be used to supply the 15
So-
centers.
Right, so we have Katie's Closet in around 17 schools. Katie's Closet basically is a room where we have uniforms, jacket, coats, for students who are book bags, that for families that are very humble or they're in need or anything like that. So those $30,000 we use to do that.
Fund those supplies for those particular rooms. How many identified homeless families do we have currently in the district?
Right now, we over 375 families that we know.
Homeless?
So that 30,000
In the district.
won't go so far.
Yeah, no, it won't go that far.
No.
Correct.
And once again, these are the one that we know, yeah.
So although our numbers increase and we welcome families, we also have challenges. But we believe we have a plan to work in making sure that we can identify those families and provide the services that are needed within our schools. Thank you.
Quick question. When we look at our absentee rates, are you guys able to create a profile of the student? Like, okay, it's an immigrant student, it's an English language learner student, it's a student who's homeless, right, and has housing instability. Would you be able to break down when you look at your 5% of students who we're seeing absenteeism from, what their profile is, and is there our targeted approach in terms of how we create some stability in getting them into school?
Your point is well taken. Obviously, we can track students whichever way we want because of their identification number, and I think that that's an important strategy that we do so. So if we see an uptick in a particular population, we can now update or look at the type of strategies that would be effective with those. I think that the challenge that we are going to have this year is with our homeless population. When you're dealing with a homeless family, they leave us on a Friday. It's going to be important that through our partnership agencies, they're able to connect with them for food and whatever have you on Saturday and Sunday, or else on Monday morning, our attendance officers and our homeless liaisons are going to be out there trying to track them down because they probably are not in the same address that they left us on Friday. So we recognize that that is a challenge for us. But I think the attendance officers and the parent liaisons that we have in all of our K-8 buildings have a tremendous relationship with the current gen ed students and ELL students and special ed students through our family outreach programs, that they know ahead of time if there are any crisis happening or if there's any situation that's not going to allow for our kids to come to school. I think you heard one of our administrators said that since the beginning of the school year, we're seeing attendance at an attendance rate of an average of at least 94%, which is tremendous for the beginning of the school year. But we are prepared to track those individuals, and we will be able to create the strategies for making sure that we make those adjustments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, transportation.
Yes, transportation update, Ms. Odanis Hernandez, who has ridden probably every bus, not this year, but she has ridden every bus.
Good evening, board members. Thank you, Superintendent. Yeah, so we're very excited. We are transporting over 3,500 students. Our bulk of transportation is for our high school students. We're transporting over 2,400 students that live in the north side of the city to our high school. About 1,000 are special education students. About 140 are our McKinney-Vento/foster students. And then we have out of district, and then we also transport parochial. What we do is we work closely with families. We work closely with our department at central office and at the school level to ensure that transportation is on time, that our students are being picked up and are being dropped off. You know, we face different challenges, traffic in the city, and all those different things, but we do a pretty good job at communicating. We have a great relationship with our transportation vendor, and we have strengthened our relationship with our private transportation providers as well. Any questions, thoughts? We monitor the stops. We went out there the first couple of weeks of school, the first couple of days of school, to monitor our high school routes. And also, like I said, we receive phone calls. With some of our parents, I'm on texting communication with them around my bus hasn't arrived. And when we usually reach out to NRT, they provide the information that we require.
Or GPS system that parents can,
Put on your mic.
The mic.
you don't have a tracking system with your buses where parents, if there's an app, that they can track the bus or anything like that?
No, that's actually a really good question. We are working with the superintendent who brought that up. All of our buses have video and have GPS systems, but we do not have a tracking or a parent app, but we are working in exploring that. I understand that, we've heard from some families that have some students in different, either a charter or a different district that come over to our city. And they express how beneficial that is. Our struggle and our challenge is the amount of students that we're transporting, and the mobility of our students also plays a factor, but we are working with our vendor to explore an app that will facilitate that and provide that kind of ease for families.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
That certainly will alleviate a lot of headaches. Any other questions, Madam Chair, from board members? Transportation? Not at this point.
Doesn't look it.
Thank you.
The only thing I heard was that Odanis was singing the Wheels on the Bus every morning.
Oh, yes.
I heard that rumor.
I've ridden the bus when we have some dysregulated students to facilitate and support. You name it, we're here to support our families and our staff.
And you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is our Human Resources update. Please welcome our Executive Director for Human Resources, Lizbeth Gonzalez.
Good evening to all. My name is Lizbeth Gonzalez, and I joined Lawrence Public Schools in February as the Executive Director for Human Capital, overseeing human resource. This hiring season, the human resource team has onboarded close to 300 employees and is still continuing to recruit for the vacancies that we have. As you heard from Superintendent Carrero, that number of vacancies continues to go down because that's our work. The slides here says 141, but we're now down to 123, those that are teaching and student-facing positions. So we continue to, try to offer incentives such as the one-time sign-on bonus to new full-time permanent employees to try to attract more people. We hosted the new teacher orientation this year, which was attended by 193 teachers, and we provided training for them as well as provided them with a laptop so that they could be ready for first day of school. And as we heard from Superintendent Carrero of our all-staff opening day. It was a success. It was very well attended, and the student performances provided a lot of energy that day.
Questions? Anything you'd like to add, Superintendent?
Oh, no, you guys are letting Ms. Gonzalez off easy.
I have a question. What would you say is the percentage of bilingual or Latinos who are coming in or that are already in place?
Yeah, so we're currently trying to track the data. We know how important it is. So we have used data from DESE. Data from DESE includes all staff, so it doesn't break it down by teacher. I'm currently now working internal to break that information down so that we can not only track it by teacher versus student ratio, but also making sure that we go down to the school levels, because we know that some schools might be doing better than others. So we want to make sure that we don't have an ask or provide information that says this is your ratio, but in reality, that's not an accurate picture for the whole, for all the schools. So we want to make sure that we go to those extreme rather than the average, has been one of the phrases that we have heard this school year. So we want to make sure that we are providing that specific information to schools so that we can know how hard we have to work to get that as close, to either a 50-50 ratio or as close as we can to make sure that our staff is representing the students we serve.
We do have a team, Madam Chair, through you, Ms. Califf, that will be participating in a year-long workshop that's provided by the Department of Education on helping to develop both strategies and programming for non-traditional recruitment, particularly for minority staff members. And like other school districts, we have that challenge of trying to figure out what are some of the strategies that will be successful in attracting minority, predominantly Hispanic-speaking teachers. But I think that we are making ways on it. And if you have no other questions for Ms. Gonzalez, it's a good segue into our diversity, equity, and inclusion program that we have.
I have a quick question, Superintendent, for Ms. Gonzalez, through you, Madam Chair. I know recruitment is hard, and it's great that you guys are continuing to tackle that 123 number. One thing is recruitment, and then the other thing is retaining those employees. Like, what strategies are we thinking of doing throughout the years? What surveys are we going to do to understand where teachers are at, what they would like to see, so that we're at, like, all of the training that's going into bringing in new people, we can actually retain down the line? Any thought given to that?
Yes, and that was why I wanted to jump into our diversity, equity, and inclusion program that we launched this past year. If you would go to the next slide, you can stay up there, Elizabeth. If you can go to the next slide, Dave, because our executive director for diversity, inclusion, and equity couldn't make it tonight, who is Glenice Sanchez, but she works hand in hand, and her office is located in HR. She has been instrumental at putting together 3 programs that helps our current minority population. The first one where you see there their launch party is aspiring administrators. So those are folks that are employed here in our district and are participating in the University of Massachusetts Masters of Public Administration program. And that's a very promising program. Over 80% of the participants are of minority status, predominantly Hispanic. The other one is our paraprofessionals, to try to put them on route toward obtaining their bachelor's degree, with hopes of them continuing to support them to get their teacher certification. And I know that this past spring, we graduated, I think it was about 20 paraprofessionals that were in our partnership with Northern Essex. So from in-house, we are doing a decent job at creating and providing opportunities for our staff that we have across our district to let them know that we support them and we want them to move up into more responsible roles, whether it's administration or whether it's teaching. And obviously, working full-time, having a family, and some of the other life experiences and responsibilities, it takes a little bit of time. So working with those individuals to make sure that we can craft the programs that includes perhaps Saturday and Sundays and taking one class at a time and providing that support, we're seeing a lot of benefits to that. And across the 3 programs, over 80%, as I said, are all members of our staff that are of minority descent. So I think that that's a promising one. And that's why I say I think that I'd like to have more conversations with the Department of Education of creating incentives and expanding those opportunities of how we can offer that immediately in terms of a strategy through our benefits package for recruiting more folks of diversity and inclusion. Questions, Madam Chair?
No, I don't see any. Question?
Madam Chair, through you, what is our turnover rate? Could we, for last year, what did our turnover rate look like for teachers?
Interesting. Lisbeth, do we know that number? The board member's saying, wasn't it 17%? I haven't had the opportunity to delve in there. We don't know.
Not a problem. We could discuss it offline or later, but it'd be great to, for this year to have a strategy of let's look at that turnover rate. Let's gauge what's leading to that turnover rate, and if there are interventions that could be had to retain quality, not just anybody. I believe in quality employees, just to keep that kind of top of mind and just tracking that. Because again, that just goes back to every summer your hiring needs as well.
We will get that information to you. I think that that's important, and I do believe that your points are well taken. If we know why they're leaving, we can then try to rectify that by offsetting that with the reasons they're leaving and creating opportunities and support for those particular areas. That's an excellent strategy, and we will look into that. But I think if we had 17%, when I first came in and I looked at the numbers, let's remember that although we had close to 500 openings or vacancies, of those 500, 125 were new positions, okay? So the district had expanded, and obviously those numbers are in there because we need to fill those positions also. But we'll get back to you on that, Ms. Matias. I think that's a great question.
Question.
Thank you, and great to know that 125 of those are new positions. Wasn't aware about that. Thank you.
I have a question. So, in listening to what you just said, when someone leaves, you do like an exit interview, right?
I would like to say that that is a good practice. I don't know if that's the case. She's nodding her head. So is that, yes, we do an exit interview? So we do an exit interview, but it's still paper.
So in order to transfer that into a data compile, right, that tells us, what are some of the main issues that they are presenting.
That is accurate. So it's currently a PDF paper form that needs to be translated into a Google survey so that we can actually see the data live and have cumulative data easily so that we can use it to strategize, why people are leaving and put strategies to retain them before they leave.
I think that would be useful.
Yes.
To connect between what is being done by Glennis and then your work and all combined.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And of course, the incentives that you were talking about too.
one of our priorities. Thank you. Moving on, Madam Chair.
Yes, moving on.
Facilities update. We have the best facilities director, I say, in the state. Certainly one of the longest serving. I think he started at 17. No, he didn't start at 17 years old. I had him in school when he was 17.
Correct. Good evening, board members. My name is Chris Merlino, Director of Facilities for the Lawrence Public Schools. We can start the video, Dave, if you don't mind.
Business. Let's get down to business.
So, superintendent on day 8 of his job, he called me and said, let's do some school visits. Come to find out, that day we did 10.1 miles of school visits inside space. He's seen from the 4th floor of a custodial closet to the basement in a boiler room. That day was a long day. Now I know to leave my sneakers in my car. HVAC boiler upgrades. Allenton HVAC, complete replacement of all classroom unit ventilators, common area, air handlers, chiller, and controllers. Leonard School, Lawler School, Tarbox School, boiler replacement. Hennessy School, boiler replacement, and also added air conditioning to the location. North Common Education Complex, 8 existing rooftop units, removed and replaced with new units. Upgraded the control system, added split units with air conditioning and heat pumps in the library and kitchen area. Potham HVAC, new chiller, building pumps, frequency drives, and valves. South Orange East HVAC, replace all existing classroom unit ventilators and upgrade the controls. Bruce School now has air conditioning. All classrooms unit ventilators replaced with added air conditioning and heat in all classrooms. Playgrounds, Lawler, Rollins, Hennessy, and Arlington all have rubber. Added playgrounds, Arlington and Lawler School. Roofing, Leonard Tarbox School roof replacement. Complete removal of all roofing, flashing, edge, metal, replaced by all new. Concrete, Frost School, removal of existing concrete at front of the building and replaced with new. Work also included safety bollards, drainage system, and some additional parking.
Beautiful.
Painting, Gilmet School interiors painting. All interior, including classrooms, office, hallways, gym, and auditorium, have been painted. Many other schools also got painted during the summer with the custodial staff. And I'd like to give special thanks to the custodial staff and the DPW for working collaboratively with us and getting these schools ready for summer and making them look like they are. Fire alarm upgrades, Arlington School, South Orange East, complete replacement of entire fire alarm system, including all components such as beacons, strobes, pull stations, amplifiers, and call-out radio.
New fire systems, when they go off, Madam Chair, it tells everyone to disperse out of the building in both English and Spanish.
Electrical upgrades, Lawrence Family Academy, North Common, Tarbox, Breen, Rollins. This allows us to have portable air conditioners in all classrooms. Gym floors, South Orange East, Gilmet, Leonard. Gym floor revision, Complete sanding down to original flooring with some flooring replacement at the Leonard School. Relining and finishing all the lines at all 3 schools. Bathroom petitions, Gilmet School, replacement of all bathroom petitions in staff and student bathrooms. That's it. In 10 weeks.
There you go, there you go.
I guess that's why our numbers were down for summer school, because many places were closed, like Superintendent mentions.
Chris, on a personal note, in all the years that I've been part of this district, I've never seen that much work done over a summer.
You're correct.
All these schools.
Thanks
So
to
I'd like
ESSA
to
funds and
commend you
local
for
funds,
that.
that's correct. It was a very busy summer, but we were able to pull it off, and thanks to everybody who pitched in.
Chris, are all our schools and classrooms air conditioned now?
We're at 95% air condition. We have the old high school that we're working with, the North Common Education Complex. We did the 4th floor, like mentioned, and the 1st floor, so next we'll be working on the 3rd and 2nd floor to upgrade those electrical outlets in classrooms, and hopefully get portable air conditioners there next summer.
So one of the challenges that we have, Madam Chair, and members of the board, with the older buildings and putting air conditioning units in all the classrooms is upgrading the electrical to make sure that the amperage can, exactly.
Can take it.
We've already ran into that to a building that we haven't even opened yet.
Yes.
Right? Yes, so I think that we have, one of the projects that we have left is the North Common Complex, and Chris was meeting with me this morning, and I think we've secured the funds already for next year.
That's correct. Through the Grants Department of Finance, and O'Donnell's did a grant for $4.5 million for the North Common Education Complex to put all new windows next summer.
There's only
So
500,
we'll be talking about
there's
closing
only
that school.
575 windows there.
That's correct, 575 windows. So we're going to do it in 2 phases. Phase 1 will be the front part of the building. Phase 2 will be the second back section of the building.
Chris, I have a question about the Weatherby.
Yes.
There's a park in the back, I think the Weatherby School was using. Has that been refurbished, restored, or whatever word you'd like to use?
Yes, we about 2 years ago, we put a new playground back there and a walking track.
All right, so that area is taken care of.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. We're making great strides. There's still a lot of work to do, but we're getting there.
You certainly are.
Congrats, Chris, with
questions,
you and your staff on the
comments?
work you've done. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Our buildings are starting to look like classic cars. And there's nothing wrong with driving an expensive classic car. But people will be surprised, Madam Chair and Mayor, when they visit our schools. They have a lot of character. And you could tell that there's a lot of love that's gone into them. All of our neighborhood schools are really looking nice. They probably look the best that they've ever looked since, wow.
Since I started in 92, we've made a lot of headway.
Oh, yes, yeah. We're close. We're not finished, but we're close.
We're getting there.
So, the good thing is that I think that because of the heating systems and the air conditioning systems, the environment inside the schools are conducive for learning and teaching, and staff will be comfortable, and kids will be comfortable. Gone are the days that we have to shut school because it's too hot and we don't have air conditioning. Or, God forbid, that we have to shut down in the winter months because there's not enough heating. So thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Last but not least, we also, through Chris's work, but I'm going to have our headmaster of the high school come on up to talk about new high school campus weapons detection system and the foyer redesign that was done. Welcome, Mr. Caraballo.
Good evening. Thank you,
Anderson.
Superintendent, for that introduction. Board members, it's always a pleasure to be here. And again, just to have this wonderful opportunity to talk about the high school. With me tonight, too, is Mindy Richardson. I mean, she can officially introduce herself, but what Mindy represents is the spirit of the work that we're doing at the high school, which is a very collaborative spirit. It is the power of community. It is the power of working together to get things done, and also emphasizes the idea of why process and protocol is important whenever we're implementing initiatives. So Mindy, if you can just introduce yourself.
My name is Mindy Richardson, and I'm a 9th grade world history teacher at Lawrence High School, and I also serve as the first vice president of our Lawrence Teachers Union.
It's always tough to present right after Chris and that wonderful video and those wonderful news, but I'm going to keep sharing the good news. I always like the opportunity to share great news when it comes to the high school. We were talking about attendance. We're at 95%. Grad rate, I did some calculations right now. We're looking at 91%. We have engaged over 1,500 families before the school year started, and right now we're looking at some preliminary numbers, and we're looking at 1.66 when it comes to the dropout rate. Data is important. We had a strong start to our school year, and when it comes to safety, safety has played a very important role when it comes to these metrics. And over years, as you know, historically, the high school, particularly here in Lawrence, safety has been a concern. And so what all of these initiatives that I'm going to talk about will highlight is how safety, in a way, is supporting the engagement of our parents, the belief of our parents, the support of our families, and when it comes down to it, a greater learning environment and a better learning environment for our students. So the first thing that I would like to address that you're going to see at the bottom right is the foyer, which is a vestibule. And the idea behind that, so this project started in 2021, and it was part of an assessment by the Lawrence Police Department in terms of safety. And the conclusion of that study was that we needed to find a better way to secure the building. It was simply too open. Anyone could walk in through the main door and have access to 1,300 students who are eating lunch. And so that assessment was produced, and as a result, we started having a conversation, and due to the funding, we were able then to start this project. This project started during the summer. It was built in record time. What makes this structure special too is that it is bullet resistant, and it does have a key card system that will only allow school personnel to have access to the cafeteria. And so, due to recent and unfortunate events, this structure highlights the importance of having these kind of systems in our schools, particularly at the campus, which, in terms of current enrollment, we're looking at 3,600 kids. The other feature that I would like to place emphasis on, which is going to be a big part of the presentation, is the metal detection system or the weapons detection system. And I think what's important to highlight is the spirit of it. And so what we wanted to ensure is that kids felt that they were going to school, that it is truly a learning environment, that it is balanced, but that it is also safe. And so in that spirit, we wanted to ensure that we engage all stakeholders to ensure that their input was taken into account and that it was a decision that really took their opinion and to put it at the center of this initiative. So one of the things that I would like to highlight is we started having conversations about this metal detection system in January. During that month, we started engaging students. I engaged the student government from both Abbott and Lawrence High School. We engaged parents, and part of it was, what is your input? How do you feel about the system? And then we also engage our staff, particularly our leadership team, the TLT. So I would just like to extend the opportunity for Mindy to talk a little bit about what the process was like and how did we get to the point in which we decided that this was a good idea for the campus.
The teacher leadership team is an an item that is part of our Lawrence Teachers Union contract, and it exists in all of our schools across the district, but at the campus, you can imagine it's larger because we have so many schools under one roof at the campus. So since Victor has come to the campus as our head leader, we have expanded our teacher leadership team to really unite all of the academies that are on the campus into one 9 through 12 school. Yes, we still have Abbott Lawrence and Unidos, but we try to operate as one traditional high school. So we have teachers that represent all the different campuses that meet on teacher leadership team. The Lawrence Teachers Union also very much supports this process across the district. But we talk and we bring issues on the monthly agenda. Victor and I, we meet and we set the agenda. His administration can add things to the agenda. All the teachers across campus can go through their union rep and add things to the agenda. And then we meet and we collaboratively put together an agenda. And security, definitely, it has been on the agenda in previous years, but definitely last year, security came back to our agenda. And this isn't a Lawrence High School concern, it's a concern across the country, but we wanted, the talk was after a campus meeting, bringing it back to the teacher leadership team, we wanted security. We want to be proactive instead of being in shock and wishing we had have thought of things to do. So that's where this, the idea came to bring more security to our very large campus. And we got to the metal detectors. We also, a great amount of improvement went into our cameras across the campus as well. And we've talked about drop-off and pickup. A lot of things went into that process when we were talking about security. Metal detectors are one piece of it.
Thank you, Mindy, for sharing that. I think it's important too to just, if you look into the photograph that is at the very top, the metal detectors themselves are very low profile, right? Again, we don't want kids to experience the whole TSA experience every time they enter school. And the idea behind it is, as students enter the building, the only thing that we ask is for them to take out their Chromebooks, and that's it. You don't have to take your coat. You can just walk through the metal detectors, and the machine focuses on two things primarily, guns and knives. Okay, we can also, add other things that we would like to focus on, for example, vapes. The end result has been extraordinary. Vaping is an epidemic across all high schools, junior high schools across the country. As of now, I can just tell you I just have one incident on record because students are just not simply bringing any vapes to school anymore. It's not an issue at the high school. When it comes to safety, I don't have one incident on record to date of any safety concern, of any discipline that has been issued to any student at Lawrence High School. So the impact of the vestibule, the impact of the cameras, the impact of the metal detectors, and the collaborative spirit of it, having all these stakeholders engaging and supporting this has had a tremendous effect when it comes to our campus community and just our learning environment overall. So I'm very proud of this initiative. I fully support it. And we continue to make improvements just to keep our kids safe. Just as Mindy stated, we're just being proactive. And it's critical for us to maintaining that kind of spirit, because at the end of the day, schools have evolved from what they used to be to what they are now. And it's just a new reality that we're facing. And it's important for all staff members to feel safe, for students to feel safe. I'm getting actually a lot of emails / communication from families who are celebrating this, who are very happy that this is in place. I haven't received one email to date from any family who has a complaint when it comes to this initiative. So we're very proud of that. And at the same time, I just think that, this, in a sense, will serve as an example for a lot of neighboring schools in terms of what they can do to improve safety. Matter of fact, I have Brockton High School who's going to be coming in about 2 to 3 weeks to see what we do and how we go about it in order for us to ensure that things are safe at Lawrence High School.
Questions, Madam Chair?
I have one question, Victor. Can students put pebbles in the doorways and keep them ajar while they run off and then come back?
They can, but we have 286 cameras in that building with the ability to be able to track movement. And so when you open that door, a lot of our doors are also alarmed. And so there's a loud sound that goes through those doors, and students just don't simply open it.
So what happens when a door has a pebble in it? Do you have a camera that
So if you
focuses on
open
that
that door, first of all, you got to find a door that is not alarmed, and the ones that are not alarmed are in centralized locations. So when you open the door, you're going to hear a loud alarm. That's one. But if it's not alarmed, once you do it and we detect that movement, the camera sends a notification that a door is being opened. And then the way that we have things set up at the campus is we have a safety officer that is assigned to each of the buildings, and they just manage the cameras within that specific building. And so we're able to have a response very quickly.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions of the board?
I never thought of that, pebbles in the door.
I have a question. So
Guilty.
is this only specific for the high schools? How about in the middle school? There's no,
No.
not these precautions?
No, but there are school resource officers assigned to each of the elementary schools.
Okay.
But we do not have in place metal detection systems in the schools. Do we have cameras in all of our schools? Do we know, Chris, Odanis? Do we have cameras aside from the, okay, there he is, Mr. Hernandez. Aside from the high school?
Good evening. Yes, we do.
So there are cameras at all of our schools?
Correct.
And a school resource officer?
We have a safety officer in every school building.
Yes?
And we have 6 SROs for the district.
I'm sorry, yes, the SROs are the police officers, but we do have safety officers in all of the elementary, but we do not have metal detection systems in the elementary buildings.
Correct.
Through you, Madam Chair, my question would be, in addition to the system that has been placed, and appreciate the thought and effort, if there were ever an emergency, have we trained teachers and students on protocol?
Yes, we have. When it comes to this process, one of the first things that we do at the high school level is to ensure that we practice both an active shooter and a lockdown protocol. So we do that with all staff members prior to the start of the school year, and they're already scheduled for the first month of this year. And so the idea is that we do a practice run with staff first, and as students arrive and they get accustomed to the schedule and everything else, we do another practice run with the students. And that's part of our safety plan, that's part of our protocol that is already established.
Through our security department, Ms. Matias, and in conjunction with the police department, all school buildings through their principals are required to submit a safety plan. And I believe that those are due now, like the Monday. They're due Monday. And Mr. Hernandez, along with Sergeant Caraballo, will go through them. One of the drills that they also, all schools practice, aside from, fire drills and what have you, is their new safety protocols for active shooters or crisis planning. And I think that those have been updated as of last year with and I forgot what the name of it is. Alice. Somebody works at schools over there. The ALICE program. So it's the new system that they have in protocols of articulating to staff and students what their responses are supposed to be in case there's a active shooter, lockdown crisis that's happening in any of their buildings.
Great, thank you so much.
I actually had a quick question for Mr. Caraballo about, I know we talked a little bit about the union and their role in this, and you mentioned quickly about student government representatives and their engaging them. What was their response in terms of this change? Because it actually is a cultural change to the institution.
I think for them, I'm going to be very honest with you. In the beginning, when we introduced it, they were like, "What? Wait a minute. Let's talk about process. What is this going to look like?
Right.
What is going to be my daily experience?" And so one of the things that I was able to do with them was just to show them a video, a PowerPoint, and I took them through the process. Then after that, they were just excited. Being frank with you, I just think that, when it comes to them, they knew the rationale behind it. They know that reality of schools, and because the system is so seamless, I mean, we're able to get 3,600 kids inside of a school on time without any hiccups. And so for them, I think the ability just to pretty much keep all of their stuff on their bodies and not having to go through what I call a TSA experience, it's really valuable. And so they appreciate it. And I think a testament of that too is whenever we have, high school shooting or middle school shooting or an elementary school shooting, we usually get an array of phone calls from families. We get emails from students who are concerned, who are asking, "Hey, what are we doing, to support safety measures within the school?" I didn't get any of those calls. I didn't get any of those emails, which tells me that students and families feel strongly about the current system that we have, and they trust it.
Mr. De Leon, I also want to congratulate Mr. Caraballo and our security team. With the implementation of the metal detectors, Victor mentioned that we didn't have any issues and no students were late getting to class. At the same time, Brockton, I believe, tried to institute metal detectors, and there was like a 3-hour wait of students outside trying to get into the building. That leads to why process information and planning and communication, it's so important. And I think Ms. Richardson alluded to that on the TLT teams and their coordinated efforts of communication, planning, and discussing how these things happen. So to put a system like that in place and engage students, and I want to say also, I think Victor had mentioned, we had soft openings in April.
Yes.
That we sporadically put some of the metal detectors out there.
Correct. So a lot of the training happened in February Academy with smaller numbers. Then those numbers continue to increment. As the year progressed during the summer, we fully implemented during summer school. One thing is for the kids to learn the system. The other thing is for staff to understand and really put best practices in place on day one. And so that's why that was so instrumental. So then by the start of the school year, our folks were seasoned, they understood how the system worked, and then we had a process and a protocol in place. I have staff members who arrive to the school at 6:40 every morning to greet students and for us to start this process.
I have a question. Most recently, the situation over in Methuen, which is our next town over, phone calls, let's say, would come in and a threatening call into the school. What's the process there for, deciphering or figuring out where this came from?
Yeah, so part of that, whenever that happens, right, that becomes a Lawrence Police Department. It's going to be focused on them, and they're going to be the one who are going to be reacting to the situation. Usually, to the FBI gets involved. In our case, we haven't had any incidents that are connected to bomb threats, but usually it does become a police matter. Our job is going to be to notify the proper authorities that it did happen, and for us then to, talk about a proper response. If it's a credible threat and they make the determination, then that's when, the superintendent in conjunction with the Lawrence Police Department make a determination, and then they can decide if we're going to, if it's a shooter situation, if it's a lockdown, or if it's going to be an evacuation in that case of a bomb threat. You're welcome.
Any further questions? All right, hearing none.
Thank you. Last but not least, Madam Chair, I'll ask Ms. Hernandez to come back up. She serves with you, myself, and several other members within the community of overseeing these two construction projects that hopefully after the winter we're going to be celebrating of seeing some success.
Yes, good evening. Thank you for having me. So we'll speak a little bit about the Oliver project first. So we'll also show a drone video just to show some images of where the project is at currently. The image you see here is the project in February 2022, as you can see. And then you can see as of this month the progress that has been made. We are at 70% of construction complete for this project. As you all know, we came before you many times for different approvals. The project, the school is scheduled to open for next school year. The school, it's 1,000 seats. It will be welcoming students K through 8th, and we're very excited. I have members of the team here, the OPM, design, and construction, so from Consigli, SMMA, and also from Answer. If you have any specific question, we'll be happy to answer, but I think we want to go and we want to be able to show the video first, Dave. Yeah. Yes. No.
Questions? No?
You want to speak? I'll have Steve just go through the video.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Steve Valeri, project manager with Consigli. So yeah, this is an update from our latest interior drone flight. So I'll go over kind of the work happening on site as it flies through. Right now this is on level 3, which is mostly classrooms, so you can see the progress of the interior finishes starting up with the wall paint, ceiling grid install. We're currently just started putting lights in the ceiling grid. So millwork is starting up in just a few weeks on that floor, and that's kind of the first area where we're starting the finish work. So this is another corridor up on level 4. Throughout the building, we're also doing the remaining facade work, so the different facade panels, the rest of the masonry work is continuing along with the big push to get that completed before the cold and the snow comes. So this is looking south. You can see the orange. Those are the terracotta facade panels. Now we're flying into the top floor, which is on level 5. So this floor is currently going through the inspection process before we start closing up walls with sheetrock and start that process. And then as we head into this room, that's a large curtain wall which overlooks the commons. And we're going to fly out in a sec to one of the outdoor classroom learning spaces. You can see they recently completed the roof replacement on the existing building, and that little small roof where the learning area is in the process of being installed right now.
Natural light.
As you may recall, this building, it's renovation and a new construction. So the part of the back where Steve was referencing the building there, that's on Oak Street. That's the new addition to the building. And then the front of the school on Haverhill Street, that's the project kept the facade of that building because it's a historic building. We would welcome the opportunity to any board member that would like to come over and take a tour, do a walkthrough of the new school. It is amazing to see the building as it is now, and I think you would enjoy seeing it now compared to when crossing fingers, when we're doing the groundbreaking for opening at the end of, in June. I think you'll be amazed.
I just have one quick question. Where we were just talking about security, will there be some sort of security system when the children enter planned for that building?
Yes. Do you want to speak to that, Helen?
Good evening, Helen Fantini with SMMA. Yes, we've had a security consultant in several meetings with the district throughout the process. Typically, we have a very secure entry where there's a vestibule. You have to be known. You have to introduce you have to say who you are checked in. You cannot have free reign of the building. We have cameras throughout the building, similar to the discussion that we just had, as well as exterior cameras.
Any questions from the board?
The facade at the front, is it going to be housed, or it's just a facade?
No, there's classrooms, there's everything, classrooms, offices. That's primarily the elementary side, if we want to divide the building into two, and then the back will be the middle school. Mm-hmm.
So they were able to clean up the whole front facade, sandblast it, reinforce it, and from the inside, they gutted everything and put all brand-new floors, ceilings, windows, and there's all classrooms in there. So as O'Donis was saying, the front part is where the elementary is going to be, and the back part is where the middle school is going to be.
Any other questions? Awesome.
And we know that that's going to house how many students?
It's 1,000 seats.
1,000 seats.
K through 8th. We probably need to be building another school based on the numbers that we heard of enrollment.
Mr. Acosta tells us to add a couple of hundred.
So it should be enough for the next, how many years?
Well, if we can answer that question, we should play the mega bucks.
Because we're seeing more children, right?
I mean, if your question is how many more schools are we going to need?
Mayor, if you keep building buildings to house people, you need schools to school children. That's like an equal formula.
Oh, well,
That's right.
it happens.
But how many additional seats does this provide to the ones that we have right now? Like,
So the Oliver School, when it was functioning, how many seats? Was it like,
So the enrollment right now, so this school, it will be to join the elementary and the middle, and I believe between two schools right now, if we have about maybe 800 students between the elementary and the middle. But don't forget, the school never had a kindergarten. We're integrating 4 classrooms for K, so that will be the new addition.
you're building from the bottom
okay, so about
of
200 more.
kindergarten?
So about 200
Yeah,
more.
yeah. It will be probably an additional 200 to 300 seats, maybe. Don't forget, we started this project planning back in 2015, so our enrollment numbers were a little different then,
Almost 10 years.
although we were doing projections. All right, so that's the Oliver. Any other specific questions in terms of the project status? I mean, it's on time and it's on budget. I think that's what we all love to hear. And we're looking forward to celebrating with you all when we do the grand opening, June 2025, right? Awesome.
Thank you.
I'll stay here because then we have the LAE School. Thank you, team, Deb and Steve and Helen. So I'm here with Sharesh from the LAE School project. Happy to report that this school is also on time and on budget, also scheduled to open for next school year, 25-26, also 1,000 seats. And the school, it's a 48% of construction completion. And I'm here with Sharesh if you have any specific questions.
Good evening, board members. Suresh Bhatia with Atlantic Construction Management. Nice to be here. And just to give you an update, a year ago, actually a week less than a year ago, 51 weeks ago, this was a hole in the ground. So what you see now is 51 weeks of construction since we started building the building.
What's unique about this project is, in comparison to the Olivers, this was a complete new building. So we demolished, as you remember, the existing building that was there, and it's a complete new building from the ground up. It would also be a K through 8 complex, welcoming the LAE students back, and then also joining will be the Leonard Middle School students.
Don, is through you to Suresh, the Madam Chair asked the question of the last building about security measures. Can we speak about security measures for this building?
This was designed exactly the same, similar manner, so anybody entering the school has to be buzzed in, and once they have in the vestibule, they are secure vestibule, they have to show their credentials, get approved before they can enter the school system, the school area.
However, the vestibule in this building, which is a huge front glass, okay? What's the glass made out of?
It's all, the lower level is all bullet resistant glass.
It's bulletproof.
Not, I wouldn't call it bulletproof, it's bullet resistant, so there's a little difference there. Gets too expensive to be bulletproof.
Bullet resistant.
Yes.
Yes, and I think that that's important. So this, correct. So this building, because the vestibule is a huge, wide open area, when you're driving by, you could see through it, of a large gathering of staff and students. And it's made out of all glass. The glass is bullet resistant, unlike the smaller version, which is the coming up through the front of the Oliver School. And this building also has security footage for cameras, and obviously our security team. Our challenges, Madam Chair, on that subcommittee obviously is making sure that we make right decisions regarding all those wonderful things that they keep bringing up to us. Right? Any other questions?
Yeah, it's fair to say that throughout the process of building these two schools, we've met with key members of the leadership team and departments to be able to put forth the, not only the security measures, but in terms of facilities, with nutrition services department, to make sure that we have the latest state-of-the-art and that is aligned with our district processes and protocols. And when the vestibule at the high school was being designed, it was mirror somewhat after these two new schools. So all those measures are in place at the two schools.
And to ask, hopefully the obvious, I'm assuming accessibility for all our families and students is into account in terms of the creation of all these buildings and for its opening, right?
Could you repeat that, Mr. De Leon?
I said, I'm assuming this is obvious, but in terms of accessibility for all of our students, the ability to get around these buildings, I'm assuming came into account when creating the footprint for both buildings, right?
Yes, absolutely, Mr. Delon. Both schools are ADA compliant. It will have elevators and everything accessible to our students and families and community.
As a matter of fact, I'm glad that he asked that question. Are all of our school buildings ADA compliant? How many aren't?
There are some buildings that are grandfathered in because of the age of the building. For example, and Merlino can come back up if we need to. The Bruce is one that it may not have ADA compliant bathrooms. But that's because it's grandfathered in. But in terms of entrances and ramps, at least main entrances, all of our buildings are ADA compliant.
Yes. The challenge has always been all of the older buildings.
Correct.
And if we're able to renovate them to make them ADA compliant. But the challenges are always the bathrooms because they used to make small bodies back at the turn of the last century. Now they're big bodies, right?
No comment.
But,
Yes.
I have a question. In taking all of this new space or renovations or the combination, are we looking to have them more space for more students for the next few, like, decade? Is that part of the goal here, or is it just to bring up the facilities to the level that it ought to be?
I think you bring up a very good point. And it's a preliminary conversation that I have had with our mayor and his team and his administration about the fact that as we're looking to create more housing opportunities and repurpose our vacant lots, and I know that there are several major projects for housing stability, that we have to take a comprehensive look approach, I should say, at when you're building buildings, and if you're going to put 60 units of housing, not everybody's single. Most people that live in those housing units are going to have families. And aside from increased fire and police and services from the city, one has to also look at schooling. I think the last time we ran into this situation was at the Arlington School, where we allowed for the renovation of those Arlington Mills, and they're wonderful. But in speaking with the staff that is there today, because I visited the Arlington School, it produced 75 new students that they never anticipated for. That's a lot of kids. That can change the culture of the school. So it's important that as we are looking to allow for more affordable housing, we need to take a look at what building spaces that we do have, and that we don't look toward selling off some of our older buildings like we did with the Saunders School that was on Broadway, in South Broadway. Wonderful apartment building, but boy, could we use those buildings now for classrooms. So I will be the watched person, I hope, to make sure that I can advocate and advise the mayor to make sure that we have a balance, that it's important that we're on a good roll now. We're showing promises of our buildings, facilities, our curriculum, our kids, our families. And you know that folks move to communities where they have good, stable schools. And I think Lawrence is on the verge of being one of those industrial communities where multiculturalism and multilingual families and new immigrants want to come to because of the services that are provided to their families. I mean, the fact that we're going to establish 2 schools within the next 8 years that's going to be dual language, and kids are going to be graduating with multiple languages, is an attraction for families. So it's important that we keep a balance, that we have enough space for the growth of families within the community as it pertains to schools.
Yes, yes.
Madam Chair, that is the end of our presentation.
Thank you. Any further questions for the superintendent?
Thank you, guys.
Edgar?
Can I just say thank you to everyone that presented, and congratulations for all the work you all have done.
Ditto. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Superintendent. It was a very comprehensive report.
Before we adjourn, I'd just like to ask the superintendent, how did you feel tonight? First go around with us, baptism by fire.
At the ripe age of 66, I haven't had this many surprises in a long time. And they have been pleasant surprises. The chairwoman has surprised me on several occasions, but I want to acknowledge and admire her preparation for the meetings. I've seen a lot of folks don't see what goes behind the scenes in preparation for the things that happen. And thanks to her leadership and the preparation of meetings, it's comprehensive, it's well thought out, it gives guidance to our administration, and I hope that the public is watching and the public that's here can appreciate the work that's being done and the thought that goes into the meetings of making sure that we are transparent and inform the public of all the progress that's happening in Lawrence Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn
So
with the
the-
next anticipated LAE Board meeting scheduled for October 9th, 2024.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Maria, please call the roll.
Dr. Dolores Calaf,
Yes?
Edgar de Leon,
Yes.
Arlene Garcia,
Yes.
Juana Matias,
Yes.
Maria Muller,
Yes.
Mayor Brian de Peña,
Yes.
Chair Patricia Mariano.
Yes. We are adjourned, and thank you, and good night.